Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends, fans, and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in once again. So, folks, obviously I wasn't exactly planning on making this episode, but again, when you have new information, you have new stuff to talk about, you get new inspiration, you have to talk about it. So, what are we talking about here? Obviously, if you pay attention to the thumbnail image, you pay attention to, what was going on with John Morton's, media session this morning, you're pretty much well aware of what we're about to talk about here. John Morton, during his media session this morning, announced that NFL analyst and former NFL head coach Jon Gruden is going to be in camp with the Detroit Lions for the next few days. Now, he didn't specify how many of those days he's going to be in. It could be today and tomorrow. It could be for the next couple of days, like 2, 3, 4 days. We don't know. But John Morton did specifically state that for the next few days, Jon Gruden is going to be in camp with the Detroit Lions. And I'm telling you this right now, sure as God made little green apples, this is awesome news. This is an amazing gift that the Lions are getting to help get themselves better in all ways they possibly can, but specifically on offense. Because obviously we know Jon Gruden is an offensive guru. This guy is one of the smartest NFL head coaches when it comes to offense, particularly the West Coast offense. And having Jon Gruden be in camp, having Jon Gruden actually, be there to watch, to observe, to help, to give little tidbits, to give little pointers on anything, that is going to be an immense amount of upside for the Detroit Lions over a lot of other teams. Because it's very seldom that you're going to see guys that are going to be like these coaches that are going to pop into your actual, training camp. And they're going to be like, hey, you know what? Rather than just being here for a day, I'm going to be here for a couple of days. And typically when you have guys that are there for a couple of days, what you're typically getting is somebody that's wanting to come in, they're wanting to see what's going on, they're wanting to observe, but at the same time, because of the relationship that John Morton has with Jon Gruden, there's also going to be the chance to grow, to develop, to get better, to have more opportunities to expand upon what the Lions already have. And like I said, having Jon Gruden in camp, this is a real treat, and it's a gift beyond measure for the Detroit Lions in a number of ways. First and foremost, let's just again pick up on the obvious, connection here between John Morton and Jon Gruden. Again, John Morton can owe all of his coaching as far as the start of it, to Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden was the one that brought him in as a coach. Jon Gruden was the one that pretty much gave him his first taste of NFL action as a coach. Pretty much where John Morton gets a lot of his coaching understanding comes from Jon Gruden. And that is a really good coach to understand from because that's a really good coach overall. But the fact that John Morton is an offensive coach, to get your basis, to get your understanding of football from him, that is a really, really rare treat to have, because trying to say that, oh, you know what, this is where I get my coaching tree from, or this is where I come from. It's not very often that you realistically find guys now anymore that can say that they can trace their roots back to somebody that was really a damn good coach. It's not like the days anymore where it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, my roots are from Bill Walsh. My roots are from Mike Holmgren. My roots are from freaking, Bill Parcells, whatever the case was. Yeah, there are still a couple of those guys roaming around, but nowadays everyone's talking about, oh, the Andy Reid tree, or other people are talking about this tree or that tree. And it's like, you know what? That's all great, grand, and glorious. But Jon Gruden is one of those guys where it's like, listen, the knowledge that he has is invaluable. the amount of experience that he has, not only in terms of his background of where he comes from, but also as a head coach, all of that information is just an invaluable wealth of resource that the Lions can really, really dig into. And especially for John Morton, it's got to feel good to be able to reconnect with his old mentor for a couple of days, to be able to pick his brain, try and get some more information out of him, more knowledge about all that he understands about offense, particularly the West Coast offense, which is where the Lions get the basis of their offense from. And understanding that means that, hey, you know what? John Morton already has added his own little things to, training camp. He's already added his own new little, his little twists, his little, additions to everything. But now you have Jon Gruden coming to camp. You can add even more. You can bring even more little twists to things that people maybe have not seen in a while. Or maybe, you pick his brain and he comes up with something that you've never heard of before. And for me, that is a wonderful opportunity for John Morton, because it means, hey, you know what? Not only do I continue down the path as the offensive coordinator here with Detroit, but now I have my mentor who has worked 14 plus years as an NFL head coach, and then all of the other years prior to that underneath all these other great head coaches. I now have that wealth of knowledge at my disposal to not only talk to get insider points on, to try and figure out what's the best way to approach this, that, or the other thing. And that, for me, is something that us as Lions fans, and I know the Lions definitely are like, okay, this is something that we really need to take advantage of. But the other real way that this is a treat and a gift for the Lions is that, well, let's know this. Everybody wants to talk about how, this guy's a quarterback whisperer. This guy's a quarterback guru, blah, 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 blah. Let's call it for what it is. Jon Gruden is one of those guys. He is a confirmed quarterback whisperer. This guy is a confirmed guru when it comes to quarterbacks, when it comes to offense. This dude knows what the hell he's talking about when it comes to quarterbacks. And if there's one thing I know from Jon Gruden is that in the past he has been very high of praise when it comes to quarterback Jared Goff. He's been very high on his intelligence, very high on his accuracy, very high on his understanding of offensive schemes and concepts, and how defenses are then likewise trying to approach him and trying to throw him off his game. But think about this. This will be the very first time where Gruden is actually going to be in practice. He can actually put on that coaching cap for a little bit and take a look at what Jared Goff is doing, and then say, okay, I see what you're doing, Jared. How about we take a look at it from this perspective? How about I give you this little tidbit? How about I give you this little pointer? Can you imagine for Jared Goff having Gruden in the same building at practice, having the ability for him to fine-tune little things, help him find ways to get even better, even if it's in the slightest way possible? You now have somebody who, for Goff, is going to be an absolute wealth of knowledge. And think about all the guys that are already in camp that are a wealth of knowledge. Mark Brunell, who was a starting quarterback in the NFL for a number of years, has been his quarterback's coach for a number of years. You've got John Morton out there, who has worked under Gruden, has worked under Harbaugh, has worked under Sean Payton. You've got David Shaw out there, who's worked with Bill Walsh, played for Bill Walsh. Also played and worked with, worked with, Jim Harbaugh. You have all these guys out there that have such a wealth of quarterback knowledge, such a wealth of being able to get the quarterback better based upon all of the experience that they've had. Dude, if I'm Jared Goff, I'm a damn kid in the candy store. It's like, dude, I can't swing a dead cat without finding somebody that knows something about how to play the quarterback position better. And when you're talking about Jared Goff, who's arguably a fringe top 5 quarterback, definitely a top 10 one, it's like, dude, how could you not take advantage of that situation? How could you not want to sit down and talk with all these guys, especially Gruden now that he's in camp, and be like, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I talk to you about this? Can I ask you questions about that? Dude, this literally has nothing but opportunities not only for Goff to improve on a personal level, but for the Lions to improve on an overall level. Because the better Goff plays, the better the overall team is going to play. So that's yet another way that this is a gift beyond measure for the Detroit Lions. And again, let's call and give credit where credit is due. The reason why Gruden is there is because of Johnny Morton. He's there because of him. That's why he's there. So, again, massive shout out to the fact that we got, John Morton, and thank you, Dan Campbell, for hiring him, because now that we've got Gruden in camp, that just is making us better. And you have to think about this as well. Jon Gruden, being a former, head coach, being a former coach under all these other guys in the past, he can examine and give constructive criticism to Morton and, other people that are coaches, and even to the players as far as personnel use, packages, formations, protection schemes, receiving elements, whatever have you. And he can give tips on other ways for the Lions to use their vast array of weapons, whether it's Gibbs, whether it's Monty, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, whether it's Jamo or Laporta. And that's not even including other guys like Tim Patrick and Isaac Tesla. I mean, dude. If I was Gruden, I would be absolutely envious about the ability to coach that team, because it's like, dude, there is so much weaponry there. It's like, dude, you literally are only limited by your imagination. You are literally limited by what you can think up. That is why I think, John Morton said he enjoyed the fact of, sitting by himself and being like a mad scientist in a lab, because it's like, dude, there is no limit to what that guy can scheme up, what that guy can draw up with all these weapons that we have. And for Gruden to be able to come in, sit down, talk with him, and, kind of be like, hey, what, have you thought about this with, Gibbs? Have you thought about this with Jamo? Have you thought about this with, Tesla or Patrick? It's like, dude, there is just so much opportunity there. It's insane. And then Gruden can also, not just talking to, John Morton or to Jared Goff, he can also talk and share knowledge and his experience as a head coach from his past with Dan Campbell. I mean, Dan Campbell's become one of the best head coaches in the NFL, but it's like, dude, you take any opportunity you can to get even better. You take any wealth of knowledge that you have access to, and you will try and dig as deep as you can drilling for oil, because you realize that guys like Jon Gruden, hey, number one, this guy helped turn around the Oakland Raiders before they absolutely, went to hell in a handbasket. But also, this is the same guy that had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a Super Bowl back in the early 2000s. This is a guy that knows what it means to get to the mountaintop. This is a guy that knows what it means to be a Super Bowl winning head coach. This is a guy that has all of that knowledge and all of that experience in which Dan Campbell can talk to and say, hey, you know what? What are some tidbits? What are some little, hints or things that you can give me to try and be a better head coach? What can you tell me that can make me a better players coach, whatever have you? And that is only going to make him better, so that way he can glean knowledge from Gruden. Because let's just take a look at Gruden overall. I mean, I just mentioned it. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach, made the playoffs multiple years, considered an offensive guru, a quarterback whisperer. But let's actually take a look at his production as an offensive minded coach. In the 14 full seasons as an NFL head coach, Jon Gruden has had his offense 15 times been ranked in the top 10, whether it's either for points, whether it's been for yards, pass yards, or rush yards. 15 times. That's pretty damn impressive. And of those 15 times, 3 of those times have been top 5 rankings, 2 of them have been top 3, and 1 of them has been a best in the NFL ranking, number 1. So you're talking about a guy that clearly knows the mastery of not only NFL offense and all the different little components and, different intricacies that go into it, as far as whether it's the run game, whether it's the pass game, receivers, running back, quarterback, whatever the case might be, but also a guy that knows, okay, how do I take that offense and how do I use it and exploit it to get the most out of it when opposing a defense? I mean, dude, that is just absolutely something you are going to be salivating at the opportunity to get your hands on as far as all that knowledge. And not just knowledge in general, but specifically on the West Coast offense. And finally, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up here, what also makes this really a great opportunity for the Lions is overall having an outsider perspective. I mean, everybody wants to talk about how, they're an insider, this, that, or the other thing, and they can, give their viewpoints whatsoever. But when you actually have a friendly outside pair of eyes that can take a look at everything that you're doing and saying, hey, you know what, that's really good. That's a really great idea. Or you know what, this is how I would change this. Or you know what, I don't really think that's a good idea at all. I would give you my advisement or my advice as to why I think you should, change this, alter it, get rid of it. And again, it's all constructive criticism. Whether or not the Lions, will take that and, actually do something with it, I don't know. But it can't hurt to hear what Gruden has to say, because what Gruden is going to provide to the Lions by being there is the ability to make improvements to things where they're, not necessarily as strong on, or to help make things that are already strong even stronger, of which the Lions have an immense number of those things, especially on offense. I mean, again, they can run the ball with the best of them. They had the best overall scoring offense last year. They had one of the best passing offenses last year. I mean, for crying out loud, adding Gruden's expertise to all of that, I mean, dude, like I said, you cannot have hoped, you could not have prayed for a better coach to come into camp to watch, observe, and give little, pointers on what the Lions could do to get better. And again, it's going to help out Goff, it's going to help out Morton, it's going to help out Campbell, it's going to help out all of the offense. And again, having that veteran voice of experience is going to help out the Lions all the more. Because, while Gruden is an offensive-minded coach, that doesn't mean he can't help out on the defense necessarily. It doesn't mean he can't take a look at something that the defense is doing and saying, hey, from an offensive perspective, this is what you could do to counter that. So again, having Gruden in camp, that is just an absolute jackpot for them. Even if it is only for a couple of days, because there's a lot of knowledge that you could glean from a guy like Gruden in just a couple of days. We've had people talk about how, they just sat down with a guy for one day, even though it was a, 8, 9, 10 hour day. And they're like, dude, I just gained so much knowledge being able to sit down and talk to that guy or just listen to him talk. I remember I was watching a video about Vince Lombardi, and John Madden went to go, listen to Vince Lombardi talk, and he literally talked for 8 hours about that power sweep play that made the Packers absolutely great back in the 50s and 60s. And John Madden said he thought that when he came in, he knew everything about football. When he left, he's like, I didn't know a damn thing about football. And that was just talking on one damn play. So I'm not saying Jon Gruden is Vince Lombardi, but it's like, dude, the amount of knowledge that Gruden has about the offense and the West Coast offense, about quarterbacks, it's like, dude, that is just an invaluable, ridiculously deep treasure trove that the Lions should take every opportunity to just dig into and dive into as much as they possibly can. And I believe that they will. But anyway, folks, I just wanted to talk about this because when I heard the news, I was like, man, this is some awesome stuff, and I have to talk about it. So, hopefully you guys all enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you all enjoyed the content. And having said that, I just want to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage you all to watch the next episode. But I also want to encourage all, if you've not yet done so, to please subscribe to the channel. And if you have just subscribed, please make sure you also hit that bell notification icon. And if you subscribed as well in the past and hadn't done so already, please also do it. It helps so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. I also hope that everybody out there has something in life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, which might be today or might be tomorrow, I'll see you all in the next episode.